0.5.
0.5.
So the beginning of this is going to be very repetitive for the boys. I apologize, but again, this is to make sure that we are all on the same page.
Thanks for being here, guys.
No problem.
Are you recording? Okay. So this is Daggerheart. We're gonna be playing in the Witherwild campaign frame.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna read the pitch and the overview and kind of give you a little bit of a background and all of that. If you've read all of it, that's great. I'm still gonna read all of it again to you because same page going into this.
I'm an auditory learner, so thank you.
Yeah. So the pitch, when an invading nation attacks on an ancient forest deity, a virulent overgrowth spreads throughout the land. Fainwick was once a place of great abundance and peace, dangerous to those unfamiliar with the land, but a cornucopia to those who respected its ways. When Haven invaded the wilds and forced the land into an eternal spring. Thank you. When Haven embraced the wilds and forced the land into an eternal spring, a dangerous bloom known as the Witherwild took hold and now threatens the lives of all who live there. In a Witherwild campaign, you'll play as unlikely heroes from humble beginnings who are reckoning with the newfound duty to save Fainwick's people from dangerous corruption. The tone and feel of the campaign is adventurous, dynamic, epic, heroic, thrilling, uncanny, and whimsy, with the themes being cultural clash, ends justify the means, grief, people versus nature, transformation and change, and survival. And the touchstones are Princess Monarchy, Legend of Zelda, The Dark Crystal, and how did that? Nusika, of the Valley Wind? Nusika? I apologize to if the creators of that ever see this. I just don't know that word.
It's okay.
So an overview of the campaign, or of the world. Fainwick is a wild and untamed land, long avoided by outside forces. The woods are dark and twisting, filled with faint divinities who perform small miracles and services for its inhabitants, but are just as likely to lure travelers off narrow paths to their ruin. Seemingly harmless expanses of field hide bogs that engulf entire enemies consume heavy artilleries as quickly as they are crossing the board as they can cross the border. The wilderness fosters hardy people who are bold enough to raise families where others would not and strictly follow the unique rules that keep them safe. These wicklings remain insulated from their neighbors' wars until the plague forces the people of Haven to desperate acts. Haven was once the most powerful force in the region. For centuries, the high stone walls in the capital bore the phrase, the Godless Gate. While the original meaning has been lost to common knowledge, some dusty tomes and ancient records state that the founders of Haven wished to be free of the influence of the faint divinities that dominated the surrounding regions. They hatched a plan to kill one of the mightiest of these deities, known as Shawnish the Granite Ophid. While their exact method of deicide, thank you, deicide is forgotten, their victory ensures Haven's dominance in the region for centuries to come. They made their home behind his remains, which became the mighty walls that Haven is known for. But Shawnish would have his revenge. As the Havenites carved through his stone body, the fine dust left behind settled into the surrounding earth. There was a time of prosperity over many centuries while the scales of the god remain undisturbed. But progress is its own pressure. The growing population demanded increased productivity, and as the farmers tilled deeper soil and miners hacked into hidden stone, the ancient stone dust rose to the surface. The same walls that brought the city's security became the crucible that incubated the virulent plague. Over the last 2 years, over half of Haven's populace fell to a disease known as the serpent sickness. First, the victims cough dust. Soon after, their skin breaks into a scaling rash. Finally, their bodies harden. First the flesh, bone, and soft tissue, spreading until finally their organs ossify. Once within the organs, the serpent moves so quickly that sufferers petrify where they stand, filling Haven with statues of victims in their last moments of agony. The High Magus of Haven, Archmage Phylax, discovered a rare red flower called the Crimson Lady's Veil that could cure the serpent sickness. These buds grow prolifically across Fanewick in the spring, but for every 10,000 of the comic white petal blossoms, only one red flower blooms. Desperate to save their people from the plague, Haven invaded Fanewick to amass the sacred red buds. Their forces plunged deep into the woods, and under the guidance of Archmage Phylax, plucked out the reaping eye from the most powerful faint divinity that protected the land, the great owl Nikita. Yes, Nikita, the shepherd of the seasons. The shepherd kept Fanewick in balance by turning her eye upon the land, first for reaping, then for ruination. Thus, Nikita maintained the cycle of the seasons, of growth and decay, of death and rebirth. With her reaping eye removed, Nikita can only watch over the Fanewick with the sowing eye, forcing the land into an everlasting spring. In the years since, Haven has conquered the bogs, turning them into fields to harvest the red flowers. The endless growth that once seemed like a gift quickly evolved into a scourge known as the Witherwild. Fanewick's flora and fauna flourished, unchecked and uncontrolled. Animals swell to massive sizes, trees warp, twist, and begin to hunt people, and vines creep along the forest floor, strangling all they touch. This explosive growth is unconquerable and unrelenting, with no force able to stop the burgeoning verdance for long. Prior to the serpent's sickness and the shepherd's endless growth, your party lived a peaceful life in Fanewick or a life of toil and conquest in Haven. But when the danger demands a response, even the unprepared and unwilling must take a stand. That's a little about the world itself. I'm going to give you a couple of distinctions for the area.
Mhm.
The weeks of day and night. A day and a night cycle occurs weekly, meaning that the sun rises for an entire week before setting into nighttime for the same length. This has an impact on everything from agriculture to trade, as many merchants refuse to travel through the night. But the cycle just doesn't affect wicklings, it dictates how Fanewick's wondrous ecology has evolved. Days and nights are accompanied by entirely different natural soundscapes, as Fanewick's nocturnal denizens sleep through the long day and stalk the woods in time of darkness, while their diurnal counterparts sleep. The plants similarly live in a strange day-night loop, and many live their entire life cycle in a week. Sun-rose vines make their thorny ascent to the top of tree canopies over the course of the week, only to wilt under the light of the moon. Conversely, night bloom, a bioluminescent flower that emits the smell of burnt sugar and decay, only blossoms when evening falls, illuminating patches of forest, a godsend to anyone forced to travel in the dark. And then the serpent sickness. The plague sweeping across Haven spares no one. Since its initial outbreak, Haven officials have worked tirelessly to quarantine those in the early stages of the disease, but this effort has done little to stop its spread. Due to the rarity of the Crimson Lady's veil, many citizens began to carry or consume all manner of flowers and snake sheddings in an attempt to protect or cure themselves. In the initial stages, victims were afflicted with a hacking cough laden with dust that resembled powdered bone. Then a scaled rash erupts across their skin, cracking their flesh into unique and painful patterns that resembles a snake's skin. Not long after, the victims' bodies harden until their organs solidify and cease to function. The final stages of the serpent's sickness is so quick that many transformed into statues where they stand, leaving Haven a cenotaph? How did we say to say that?
I have no clue.
Basically, whatever that word is, it means
Cenotaph.
like cenotaph.
Cenotaph.
It means like statues of
Yeah.
a row of statues, essentially.
Yeah.
And then Lady's Veil. These small flowers grow in patches of sun throughout Bainwick. For every 10,000 blossoms of white-petaled flowers, one blooms a unique and vibrant red. These flowers have long been used in herbal teas across the region, with the crimson flower holding a place in specific ceremonies. Even so, they were only foraged until the Havenites discovered the Crimson Lady's Veil, the only known cure for the serpent's sickness. Thus, the Haven army invaded Fainwick and began cultivating the flower on massive farms that have overtaken the bogs. Though the theft of the reaping eye has created an infinite growing season, the red flowers remain just as rare, and Fainwick is permeated by a sickly sweet smell as the Haven army races to mass produce a cure for the serpent sickness. And then one more thing, and we'll start talking about your character. That zoomed in too much. The Witherwild. This corruption, empowered by the endless spring, is spreading throughout Fainwick. Some believe the overgrowth began in the forest, while others claim that it sprang from the bogs. No matter its origins, this flourishing maglinence induces horrific changes and massive growth on anything that it touches, transforming them into withered beings. Plants spring to life with a desire to consume all around them. Animals grow to immense proportions with their onerous dispositions to match their exaggerated teeth, tusks, and claws. Even harmless creatures that were once hunted for food have become dangerous and formidable adversaries. When a person is corrupted by the Witherwild, either from a purposeful attack or an accidental harm, they are transformed. They become a nightmarish hybrid, their bodies warp and intertwined with plant or beast. The Witherwild slowly replaces the personality of its victims with the same drive to consume exhibited by the rest of the corrupted Fainwick. Though the Witherwild may retain some semblance of who they are for a time, they will eventually fade in the final loss of their personhood. Face the final loss of their personhood. Some Wicklings believe that Withered are gifted this power by Nikta's wrath to drive the forces of Hainwick from Fainwick and return the shepherd's reaping eye. But yeah, that's a little bit about the world. We got any questions?
Nope. Cute. Well, as cute as endless spring and destroying a habitat, an ecosystem can be.
Yeah. Go over here. And I know that you are wanting to be a bard.
Mm-hmm.
Are we looking at wordsmith or troubadour? Troubadour.
Probably wordsmith.
Wordsmith, okay. So as you can see on this page, we've got this here.
Mm-hmm.
And then over here, we've got the cards. So
Okay.
you said wordsmith?
Yes.
Okay. I'll drag your token over just so I've got it on there. So let's see. Where's my notebook? It's under my book. And then so rousing speech once per long rest, you can give a heartfelt, inspiring speech. All allies within art range clear to stress noise. Part of a poet, after you make an action roll to impress, persuade, or offend someone, you can spend a hope to add a d4 to the roll. Okay, cool. What are you thinking ancestry-wise? Currently, we have an elf, a faun, and a giant.
So I'm gonna rock with Infernus.
Nice.
Team horns and hooves.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rufio's the faun. Rufio's doing faun, Rick is doing elf, and other Rachel's doing giant.
Oh, cute.
I have to be a fawn. It's in my blood.
You hail from the hills?
No, I hail from rural New Jersey.
It's the Jersey Devil, isn't it?
Rufio, do you think if your life came down to it, could you draw a exact accurate representation of the Jersey Devil?
I'm really bad at drawing, but I can definitely picture it and get it out. Yeah, that
Okay.
ugly little beast.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Why do you have a goat?
He looks the same.
Because we had goats in
He
New
does.
Jersey.
Look the
Yeah.
same.
He just needs
Yeah.
glasses.
Yeah. True.
Okay, so we got ancestry.
We had like an acre and a half of land. We had a horse and a pony and 9 goats.
Oh, that's dope.
Have you given any thought to your community, essentially where you come from?
Loreborn.
Loreborn, okay.
Rachel's like on it. What the fuck?
I know.
What happened?
What do you mean what happened? I've been working on this because this is a new game.
No, I know, and it's also because you want to do good for your best friend. I understand.
Also,
I also want to do good for her.
decided-
That's why all of this is very pretty.
Yeah. I also
he made all this.
had a concept, and I liked this concept, so it was very easy to start kind of picking everything out.
I found my concept between 2 screens ago and now when we started session 0 with other Rachel because she picked a class that like conflicted with what I was gonna play.
Yeah, they were very, and backstory was very similar too, because Rick had kind of talked to me a little bit beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you thinking you're a Havenite or a Wickling?
That is something I wanted to talk to you about because, like, that.
So as
You want us to give you like a quick rundown of our characters, and you can kind of get a feel for what we're doing?
Yeah, that way I can kind of fill in where needed too.
I do want to say before they do that, because that'll be a good idea. That is a good idea. As I told them, I don't intend very much in like the campaign frame of this. It's very much like Havenites are the villains and the Wicklings are the good guys. You know me, I don't play things black and white.
Yeah.
I don't intend to do this black and white. Yes, Havenites are... Haven is the one that's, like, in the wrong here. But at the same time, they are people that are fucking terrified of what is happening. Like, and they're just trying to protect their people.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like... Because other Rachel is doing a Havenite. I'll share what her backstory is since she's not here to do that. Technically his backstory, because she is playing a male character. He grew up in Haven, is part he is a warrior Call of the Slayer for class and subclass. So is part of like the armies. Was part of like the invading force of Fainwick. But is dealing with a little bit of they had a Wickling in their backstory that that they were fighting with, and the Wickling thought they killed Rachel's character, but he is a giant, so he's a little more resilient. So he didn't actually die, but like was on, death's door kind of thing. And this Wickling cried over them over the fact that like they had killed someone.
Damn.
So kind of gave that like perspective of like they're people too. And maybe we're not in the right here. So Adros is very much dealing with the notion of like what he was raised as, like being a Havenite was kind of raised with like the notion of like Wicklings aren't bad people, but like they worship gods, because like Haven's whole thing is like we're godless, we don't worship anyone, we are who we are, like we killed a god to prove that kind of thing. So like sees Wicklings as like almost beneath him, just because like why the fuck are you because I didn't mention it, but the gods walk among Wicklings. They're not like extraplanar, they're there, you can interact with them.
Yeah.
And so like of that notion of like they're just people that walk among you that maybe have a little more power, why are you worshiping them?
Yeah.
And so sees Wicklings kind of like as a little crazy. And then like through the war that's happening between Haven and Fainwick, was given kind of like the notion of like the Wicklings are the cause of this. They're the reason we're at war. It's not our fault, it's their fault. So Adros is dealing with like the because they're doing Orderborn, so like they're dealing with the conflict in them of like what they were raised to believe, what their order is to, what they have like, the order that they have taken and agreed upon, versus the veils getting pulled back a little bit. And I will let the boys talk about their characters since they are here to do so.
Duh, boys.
You or me?
You can go.
All right, Rachel.
You are not prepared. You are not prepared. I was so thrown off guard.
The serious tone suddenly, I was like, oh, I'm sad.
Hold on one second.
Oh, gotta change the music. I love this.
Let me tell you the story of Glimmerbun. Glimmerbun is a Wigglewhiff, a adorable little rotund bunny-like creature, kind of like a bunny crossed with a dandelion puff. Their fur is very soft and cottony and like shimmers like iridescent moonlight. They have these like big floppy ears, these little wings that like flap like crazy but don't really do anything. And whenever they get startled, they and hiccup bubbles. And Kalis, he grew up in this like wandering community. It's a group of travelers that sort of travel through the land and sort of like disseminate like news and knowledge. They trade, they do everything. They're kind of always on the move. They're very nomadic. And at one point, during their travels, Kalis stumbled upon the den, as it were, of a wiggle whiff, and he thought this creature needed someone to look after it, because it's not good at taking care of itself, really. Like it's one of those things where it's a miracle that these creatures still exist. And so he befriended it. And day after day he would go to this clearing, and he would play with him and sort of like train him, and day by day he was able to earn this creature's trust. Until one day he noticed that the creature that Glimmerbun's like fangs or teeth had like grown like extra like inch and a half, and its fur that was like once this like iridescent like lavender color is now like has these like almost like black feathers that are sort of like coming out of it. And over the next 3-4 days, 2 weeks, a night, every time he would come back, Glimmerone would be bigger and scarier and more monstrous, until one day he came back and Glimmerbun had ballooned to the size of a mammoth. Just this enormous hulking like rage bunny filled with anger, and like instead of the bubbles coming out when he's scared, they come out in wrath and anger, and as like sort of to like soften up his targets. And across the clearing was a battalion of Havenite soldiers, all in their shiny metal armor, plate and chain, steel and blade. And as before Kalis could do anything, a volley of arrows lance into Glimmerbun. Dark red and black patches of fur start spreading as its lifeblood flows from it. In his like distraught over seeing this creature that shouldn't have ever had this problem, shouldn't have ever had to face the withering, cut down by the very people that caused this to begin with, finds himself at a small campfire. Not one that he set up, but one that he just stumbled upon in the middle of the forest. Almost like a forgotten memory of a warm hearth. And as he sort of sits down and takes stock, this sort of like small humanoid figure, sort of like charcoal colored, with its skin like cracked and broken, like clumps of charcoal that have been like press formed together, with these glowing orange and yellow eyes, steps out. He's heard of this deity before. It's one that has been less revered as of late, but Ashwilt, the hearth that forgets, the faint god of lost embers and fire without purpose. As he sits at the hearth with this deity, he just exudes this pain and this rage and this burning anger at the people that caused this. And the deity sort of doesn't speak, but gives this like low rumble that forms into coherent thoughts in your head. Everything burns. And Kalis looks down, and on his bracers are this like twisted runic symbol that glares red hot. Everything burns. And Haven will burn for this. I think that's all I got to. Yeah, and so
Even rot burns if you wait long enough.
Even rot burns if you wait long enough. Yeah, and so he's sort of loosely on the lookout for other elemental deities to sort of get their blessings as well. And intends to burn Haven to the goddamn ground. He's a druid of the elements druid. Elf, elf-born, and that's his picture, which I showed in Discord. That's what he looks like.
I too would kill for my pets. So
Yeah.
I mean, hold on. I would murder somebody if
No.
they ever laid a hand on this boy. I love you. You know? He don't care right now. That's fine.
But yeah, so that's my guy. Sorry if it was long-winded.
No, that was great.
I was having trouble speaking in the fucking first person because I'm so used to speaking in the goddamn third person.
I should have gone first just because your background is more dramatic than mine.
That's fair, but it's not like Rachel couldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I loved it though. Set it up wonderfully. Like, damn, Disney Imagineering writing level shit right there.
No, it's not. But it was generated literally in about 5 or 10 minutes. In this time it took other Rachel to go through hers is when I generated that.
Still good. Quite enjoyable.
Listen, I thought Glimmerbun was gonna be his fucking character's name at the start.
Me too.
And
I
was
like,
yeah. So I was like, you're not prepared. You're not prepared. Yeah, first time you said Glimmerbun is this little, and I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I blacked out for a few seconds. It's like, I am gonna have to call the love of my life Glimmerbun.
I was like,
okay.
We went from Zarin to this.
Yeah.
Perfect. Rufio, tell me about your guy.
Sure. So, Katak is a fawn ranger. He, before any of this crazy shit started happening, he already got exiled from his village. With the best of intentions, he attempted to, through using some firework type things he was gonna cause a boulder to fall on a rock nest that had been attacking his village and killed his dear Whifflewiff pet. But the boulder didn't fall how he thought it was going to, and actually hurt some people in his village and destroyed some buildings and tents. So they had Katak take his ibex clatter and leave the village.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just been him and Clatter for a while out there. And he's a mountains boy. He's a goat person. He's from the cliffs. He's been in the forest now. A little bit out of his element, but learning the ways. And as he was going through, though, he started developing a pretty comfortable life. He he would like help people who would get lost. He would like honestly, he started helping with specifically like trying to hunt out like sick animals that might like get rid of like hurt animals in their population and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden shit started going fucking crazy. But Katak is he takes those lemons and he tries to turn them into lemonade. And if Haven is going to create these creatures through their deeds, we can certainly try and make those creatures attack Haven's armies by, antagonizing them and driving them in directions of their forces. So he's been doing that to varying degrees of success. I would say often more not successful than successful, and like having to run away and almost getting himself hurt or captured or things like that. But yeah, that's been his goal. Is just like seeing like this nature that he wasn't necessarily born directly into, but has grown to accept as his home and love as being corrupted, and just wanting to be like, all right, well, I see that these people who killed a god caused this shit, and we are going to make them deal with the consequences of it.
Love that.
So as for figuring out where you fit into this story, just something of like note that is for, let me make sure that this, yeah, so if you are going to do from Fanewick, with the Witherwild, some Dracona, Fawns, Furbolg, and Infernus have noticed that their horns are growing faster and longer. So if you want to play into that, if you're from Fanewick. And then there's nothing specific for your class, but for your community, just a smidge too much. You, oh. With Loreborn, in Fanewick, knowledge is the most valuable commodity, and those who have expertise have the most power. This economy of information functions primarily through gifting and trading, and wisdom would be considered acceptable collateral for a weapon or a warm meal. As such, Loreborn community members are the wealthiest in Fanewick and might be a smaller distinct group of hunters, historians, or artisans with larger villages. In Haven, for the wealthiest members are highborn, so you would probably be associated with those, being loreborn. But they have inherited, for highborns have inherited, sorry, I lost my spot. Have inherited riches built in the wall city over generations, while highborn of Haven are most insulated from the serpent sickness. None were immune. So with the loreborn, you would probably have connections to the highborn, I would say. If you were from Haven, so you would be still kind of, maybe not of wealth, but have worked in some wealth, have gained wealth. Maybe your family's not necessarily from it. But you had the connections to get access to that wealth and get the knowledge that you have. So yeah, are you thinking a Havenite or Wickling?
Wickling.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. You good? Got the hiccups.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like a she messed up my character shrug.
No, we both had talked about it, and I had a feeling you were to go Wickling, but I didn't know, since I had had said that I would play both sides of this struggle.
Yeah.
If
The character concept I have leans very well into Quickling.
what's the character concept you have?
So you did not look at my playlist I sent you that has the
I
name of the
did.
character.
No,
Yep.
I did. Yeah. What? Tell me about Beatrice.
So Beatrice is, she's from a probably high-ranking historical family in Fanewick. Now that we've kind of like got it all together, she is an elder sister. I don't know how many siblings she has yet because this is something I just started developing. But she was always kind of the serious one in the family. She always took her studies very seriously. Her dad had very high expectations for her. But her little brother, not so much. And he took his lessons not very seriously, which in turn made her take them even more seriously, especially when he hightailed it to like go do his own adventuring with some weird random pirate girl. So she starts going on this whole journey to become a well-known historian, and her name is Beatrice the Bard. She has
Is that like Megan the Stallion?
yeah.
I know things.
Yeah.
You know her because she got shot.
No, I know her because she was in an episode of She-Hulk.
Oh, I see. She is.
She twerks for
Got
She-Hulk. It's awkward.
Yeah.
She's got
I mean,
a
she's really
college
good at that.
degree. Yeah,
She's great. No,
I
I
love
like
Megan
Megan
the
Thee Stallion.
Stallion.
Yeah.
But Beatrice, who also just goes by B for her friends, is probably like 5'10", 5'11", purple grayish skin. She likes to wear green because she thinks it goes really well with her skin color. Raven colored hair. But yeah, that is my concept for her and Sherilyn.
Bit.
What?
Little brother that goes running off with a pirate.
Yeah, I caught it.
Yeah. That's our first D&D characters, Rufio.
Yeah.
I was
Oh yeah.
I was a
Bebo,
pirate
the
and Rachel
bard.
was a bard. Yeah.
I see.
I
That's
was a
funny.
pirate and she was a tiefling bard.
What kind of like lore stuff do you do? Like, what do you know?
Yeah. What's your special knowledge?
Probably specifically like history type stuff, like looking into like I would imagine that her family was very much looking into like history repeats itself and you can like backtrack everything well, you can predict it, and probably with this setting, I'm making this up right now. This is something that's never happened before, so now it's like I have the opportunity to be the historian on this huge fucking thing that's happening right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's
So-
also. Did you mention when this all started, by the way? And
I mentioned when I was reading it, but for clarification, the serpent was killed about 100 to 200 years ago, somewhere within that time frame. The serpent sickness laid dormant for very long time. Why did that move?
I put it there and then moved it back. I can only.
Okay.
I want to do something with this loop, but I can only think of Sonic jokes.
Okay. But shit, so about 2 years ago is when the serpent sickness started.
Mhm.
And about a year ago is when Haven invaded Fanewick. So this is still relatively recent for the war starting. Tensions are still very high. So it's obviously like the death of the serpent is like kind of like well known for purposes of you would be well known, documented in the sense of like, yeah, that's the thing that fucking happened and they're fucking crazy for doing that from a Fanewick side.
Yeah.
And everything. So like you would know definitely a lot of like what went down in Haven becoming the Godless Gate and everything. So you and I can talk a bit about that, what that kind of means. And being a Wickling, I imagine that you would know especially being a Wickling of like high order, you're gonna know about what the Lady's Veil is and things of that nature. But yeah, would definitely be like of that mindset of like a historian trying to get everything down, because this is the war itself, and so the everything that's happening with the wither and the overabundance, that's all again been within like the last year. So like to a certain extent, like yeah, the overabundance is happening, but as for how much it's taken over, you guys don't know, and I get to play with that. But yeah, I mean that fits very much. I do have a suggestion that you do not have to take. But on your character sheet, there's a spot for experiences.
Hmm.
And those experiences are going to be like little phrases that can give you advantage on something, or you can spend a hope to use to like help you be able to accomplish something. For
Mhm.
example, Critical Role is currently doing Age of Umbra, which is another campaign frame, one that I looked at doing. That's definitely a lot darker and hopelessness than this is.
Yep.
But I was going back and forth between those two, but as I started reading this one, I had more ideas. Are you okay, my love? Okay.
Actually, I need a companion ability.
And one of Sam's traits or experiences is Spineless Coward. And he uses that to be able to like get the fuck out of Dodge. Because like he's just like, I gotta go, and just leaves. And like because of that, he's able to like find paths very quickly. But when you were talking about being a historian and like knowing things, I had an idea for one of your experiences. Again, you don't have to use this. But as far as like being able to like tap into your history knowledge, it's called I Understood That Reference.
Yes. I kind of like that. That's cute.
Because you were saying that, and my brain just immediately went to Steve going, I understood that reference.
Or, actually,
Actually is a good one.
Actually is a good one. Actually, very much.
You
And
have to do your
it's
hair
in the
for
same
it, though.
vein.
You do the Conover hair though, if you're gonna pull that one.
You muted yourself.
next time my hair's in a bun, I ain't doing it.
Yeah. But I guess I understood that reference, or actually on something for like historical, because like experiences are like things that have happened for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to make like one history based and then one, that's
You could use in combat.
yeah.
Actually is very good for historians.
Yeah. No, I think that is perfect. Like, yes, do that one over the I understood that reference.
And yeah, and you can kind of think of them as skills.
Mhm.
And also as kind of like just thing. I mean, because there's like the out of combat side and then the combat side, and you could use them in both. But that's kind of the only way you can do skill bonuses.
Yeah, because like on here, they also have on the bottom of this page down here, you've got phrases like, so they've got like some recommendations there. It's like catch me if you can, hold the line, different things like that, that it's like an experience that you have had that will help you in this moment.
Also the other like caveat is if you do use a phrase, it has to be a movie name also. So, make sure, you no, okay. It says catch me if you can. This made me think of the really bad joke that nobody cared about. We were talking about Leo DiCaprio earlier.
We were.
I thought it was good, and I like that movie a lot.
The movie's good, yeah.
And I will make my abilities movie names if you want me to.
You don't have to, Rufio. Are you doing short bow?
Oh no, I'll do longbow. Whoops. It's weird. It's actually 1 second. Range. It was finesse. I misread it. It's weird. It actually suggests short bow on the.
Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably because you're agility, right?
Uh huh.
Hello,
Uh,
Remy.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think longbow's just better, right?
Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Because it's cumbersome.
Cumbersome.
Who cares? You're on the other side of the map.
Might not be.
And are you doing short sword as well? Is that what you're doing for your second?
Uh huh.
I don't think you. I mean, I would do shield before I did short sword for you. It doesn't matter ever because you're
Yeah.
not gonna, But
Yeah.
I guess short sword because then if you pick up like a normal sword, you can.
Yeah.
use
What
it.
if I do, or like, what if I do have to go into?
Yeah, that's fair. So cool. Do you want to do? Are we gonna do Rachel's character sheet or no?
Yeah, we can. But I want to look. We need to still do her domain cards.
Oh yeah.
So you get the. What are you? Hang on, let me look.
Codex and Grace, I believe.
Kodak and Grace. Okay. So.
Which is literally, I think I already have her tokens there.
Yeah. So the way the domain cards work is you have 2 domains, and you can either pick 2 from one domain or 1 from each domain. And these are abilities that you get. Like you can see that they have things on them.
And so real quick, if you can use your domain cards as many times as you like, unless they say they have a cost or they say they can only be used a certain number of times. The Codex domain is really cool. I really want. If I was gonna do wizard, but it's like I can't play another wizard. I just played a wizard. I'm playing a wizard. But Codex is super cool because each domain card gives you 3 like mini spells, and so you can use any of them whenever you want. So it gives you tons of fucking options. And then your Grace, which are the pink ones, are just your Bardy type ones. Of note, we don't have anybody that can heal any hit points at all. So
Okay.
He's not wrong.
I'm just saying the inspirational words. That sounds great. Also, I love the Oh, it's not assigned to you. I gotcha.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Because you didn't accept the invite when you were supposed to.
Sorry. I was downloading Assassin's Creed Shadows and not playing it.
Oh, I was like, who the fuck is Rachel B?
Buenaventura. Me.
You're Rachel F.
What do you mean, Rachel F?
You're Rachel.
You're
Rachel.
You're Rachel Florida.
Oh. That's fair.
Yeah, you should be able to move it now.
Right.
Wait, what?
I do love the oh, some of them have like when you there's one, I don't know where it is, but it's you have to talk to an ally and learn something new about them to use the card.
You know what? The Book of Tafar looks good. So yeah, pick the Book of Tafar in inspirational words.
Okay. So is like Bard the last name for this family? Is that what you've made canon now?
Yeah. Now,
So yeah, do you have a printout of your character sheet, or do you have?
I have the fillable sheet that
Okay.
Rick sent in Discord.
So-
Sorry. Actually, the proper thing is, I have the fillable sheet that your wonderful boyfriend made for your players, and posted into the Discord.
What a
Anyway,
fucking
on that
beaver ass
first-
response.
Anyway, so to explain a couple of things before we start filling this out, if you're just looking at the page itself, evasion, that's your armor class, is what that equates to. And then the little, so right next to the evasion, there's like the line and then the things for armor.
Mhm.
Armor is essentially like temp HP in a way, whereas if right below the evasion you have damage and health. So the way that damage works in Daggerheart is, you see how you've got minor damage and then the little like triangle kind of box, and then major damage in another one of those boxes.
Mhm.
You have thresholds. So we'll just say for ease that your thresholds are 5 and 10. So minor
Okay.
damage, right after that you're going to put 5. That's not what it is for you. Yours will be different, I hope. And then major is going to be 10. So if I roll an attack and hit you for 4 damage, that's considered minor damage. And on the HP boxes that are below, you're going to mark 1 HP.
Okay.
If I hit you for 5 to 9 damage, that's considered major damage, and you're going to mark 2. And then anything that's 10 or above is considered severe, and you're going to mark 3 hit points.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, the way that armor works as like temp HP is that if I hit you for, a major damage at your major damage threshold, you can use an armor slot to make that minor damage. Or so essentially you can take a severe to a major to a minor, and a minor to nothing with an armor slot. You can only use one armor slot like per hit.
Instance of damage.
Instance of damage. And then, so essentially, it's very much like your armor is taking the brunt of that. When you do a short or a long rest, you can, you get actions that you get to do in those rests, and you can repair damage slots on your armor, as well as, get back HP, get back stress, things of that nature. Just to kind of continue to break things down. So right under damage and health, you have hope. Hope is something, so you have the biggest thing that you're going to need, like physically, you as a player, is you're going to need 2 different D12s. One is going to be your hope dice, and one is going to be your fear dice. Those are your duality dice that are utilized. Every time you're like making an attack or trying to do something, you're going to roll your duality dice. If the one that you designate as hope is bigger, that means that, you've earned that hope. If one that you've designated fear is the bigger out of the two, then that is a fear. Fear is what I utilize as a GM, to put adversaries on the board, to make complications for you guys, to activate something the adversary can do. So hope is a resource for players, and fear is a resource for GMs. On yours, like you have make a scene, spend 3 hope to temporarily distract a target within close range. So that means you can have up to 6 hope there. And so then, you could spend 3 of your hope to utilize that action. You can use hope for other things, like some of your domain cards may say, like, spend a hope to do this action. Let me see if you've got...
Most of the domains I think use stress, but no. Tava's armor under Book of Ava.
Yeah.
Uses a hope.
Yeah, so like even though you didn't take that one, just so you can see as an example, spend a hope to give a target you can touch a +1. So there'll be different things that is like spend a hope to do this. You can one of the cool things that you can do is you and the other player have to do this, but like you can spend 3 hope to do a tag team attack.
Cool.
Um so, different things like that. We'll get more like into it as we're playing and we've got specific examples, but just to kind of give you a rundown on that.
Yeah.
Below hope is where you have your experiences, which is like where you'll put the actually kind of thing. So, and then back up at the top where you have agility, strength, finesse, instinct, present, and knowledge. Those are going to be, your charisma. Like it's that kind of base of.
It's dex, strength, dex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 2 dexes. And then it's
Yeah.
wisdom, charisma, and int, I think is really what it boils down to.
Yeah. And like underneath each one, it's got a little it breaks down, what agility is used for, what strength is used for. So you have an idea of like, oh, that's what I would, when I would make an agility roll versus a finesse roll, since they are somewhat similar. And then we'll have your weapons and your armor. So we'll get into the weapons and armor real quick because that will help in filling out the rest of this. So,
Cool beans. Can I take a quick
activate.
break to use the bathroom real quick?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I will be back in a jiffy. Hold up.
Name is Beatrice.
Yeah.
So we can call her Trixie. We can call her BTB. We can call her.
She did say that her friends call her B.
No, I know. I heard that. I like Trixie though.
Same.
Not for my character, but I think Rufio's character should call her Trixie.
I feel like other Rachel's characters should call her Little B.
Yeah. I feel like I would have like. I've probably met her because like I'm like my like wander tribe, like dealt in knowledge pretty much.
Yeah.
Dealt in knowledge and renews.
Yeah, you guys probably will be the two that know each other the most.
Yeah.
I like.
Kind of similar to what Sam's character was doing.
Yeah. I like. She gave me the easiest hook for the beginning of the campaign on how to get them somewhere. The rest of you, I'm a little. Like, I can make it happen, but yeah, she's gonna be the easiest for me to pull.
What do you mean pull?
Get on like making it reasonable as to why she's going to this location.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm traveling. I can, I'm a traveler.
Other Rachel's odd man out.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't my plan, but like if you're druid, there I don't feel like you can play a druid from fucking Haven.
No.
If I'd gone wizard, then that would have been fine. I would have been fine with being wizard from Haven, but Or rather, that would make sense with stuff.
No, and I mean it's fine. Like I still be able to play with what I have in mind on the two sides.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is just. I'm not saying my character, but you need to get one of the other two characters to have some kind of sympathy for Haven. Probably Rachel.
Yeah, as a ranger, also seems like I should be from the
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Especially as an exiled ranger who wanders around all the time.
Yeah, I mean the argument can be made like looking at the map. Like argument can be made that you're from Haven because there's still a lot of like woodsy areas.
Yeah, there's still cliff sides there.
Yeah, there's still cliff sides and woods and stuff like that. So the argument can definitely be made. But yeah, the getting to the point of sympathy for, again, and I'm not trying to like make the Wicklings like turncoat to the Havenites.
No,
but more of like
you just want them to question.
Yeah, I want the we need to resolve this as peacefully as we can notion. Like
fire can be peaceful.
I also need to know where each of you roughly on the map are from originally. I know that you are more traveling though.
I'll pick a place.
I'm by the K in Fanewick.
Move your player token.
Where is it? There it is.
That's why they're here. I like the big tree.
Okay.
Maybe there's like a little village that like has treehouse villages up in this tree.
They're Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like I see this place that looks like a town, so I assume that's a bigger town. Is that supposed to be at the tree?
No, it's a treetop city.
Oh,
like
gotcha.
They live in treetops.
Oh, then I don't have to do that. Then I can go somewhere else.
No, it's fine. And I mean, I can easily change that. That's just me playing with the
Oh no, I'm on the big root thing.
Okay.
Yeah, like during the rainy season, we make this into a water slide. It's a theme park. That's what it is.
Is there a rainy season? That's a dumb question, Sherilyn. I was gonna say, is there a rainy season in Eternal Spring? But yes, there is.
Well, I mean, also like the Eternal Spring has been happening for only like a couple of years, right? That's just the last like 2 years, right? Or am I wrong?
Last year to a year and a half.
Yeah. So I mean, if there was a rainy season before that. What's up, Trixie?
Trixie?
Beatrice?
Beatrix?
Oh. For some odd reason, my mind went to Lady and the Tramp.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know Trixie and Fifi?
Yes, I was like Lady and the Tramp because I was trying to think. I was like, I was thinking you were talking about Peg, and I was like, that's not her name. But yes.
No. And what about Trixie and Fifi? When she starts accusing him, I'm like, you go off. But also peanut butter M&Ms.
That was a deep cut. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, so fun fact while we're getting into building your character sheet. Rachel, you are the only character that does not have a negative to their presence, which is charisma. And I expect you to play it that way. As a matter of fact, you have a +2 to your presence.
Everyone else has a negative to their presence.
Everyone else has a -1 to their presence.
Well, good thing I made it related to Bebo.
Listen, when we helped other Rachel build her character sheet last night, and like I knew that she would have or he would have a -1 in his presence. It just because of them being a warrior. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then Rick was like, I have one too. And I was like, what does Rufio have? He also has a -1 if you're going with the suggested, because they give you a suggested stat.
Yeah, I did them and then saw that it's the same as the suggested.
Yeah, I actually did not do my suggested stats.
Yeah. I was
But
like,
yeah, you were
this
the
is
only
what
one.
makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, you are the only one that has that not only has a +2, but just has a not negative.
We shouldn't be allowed to talk to people.
But you
But
will.
I can't wait for you to do so.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to talk to animals because that's one of my abilities.
Oh, lucky.
No, it's the picked one from the card.
Oh, never mind, because I took vines because I needed a spell.
Yeah, you took mine.
But yeah, let's look at your.
Also, can I just use my bow in melee range?
Yeah,
Okay, then whatever.
yeah.
Because I was like, I know I have some things that work with like are done in melee range, and I just didn't know if I got that ability.
Yep,
So-
you're
I didn't
fine.
know if it worked that way.
On
Okay,
this
cool.
page, Rachel, we'll start with the primary weapons. You can do a physical. You can also do a magic one, because you do have the requisite for magic is having a spellcast trait, which
Mhm.
you do have. So, your trait is presence. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pick something that coalesces with that, but it would be smart to do so.
It pretty much does mean you have to do that if you
Yeah.
want to be, because like otherwise
good
you
at
just don't have anything to do damage.
Yeah. So like magic wise, you've got scepter.
Oh, also, so you're gonna see ranges. Do you want to explain ranges? Just so she has a feel
Range
for
like
it. too.
Monster of the Week.
confuse me.
No, I get it.
Yes. You're correct in that, actually.
Yeah.
It
it's
I
very
will
much
say it
Monster of
is.
the Week.
It is weird that very close is not as close as melee. Just because very close sounds very close.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're so
Um,
close I could get you, but I can't. Get over here.
Right. Apparently that's what very close means. But if I was
Mhm.
said, oh yeah, they were very close to me, that means they could definitely touch me. And
Just
yeah,
So essentially, it goes melee, very
Close,
close,
very-
close,
then-
far, very far.
yes,
And
and then out of range.
then out of range.
So
so it's
on
like-
armor, sorry to be just real quick. So
you're
the threshold is what matters, and that's just like how much damage it takes to actually cause HP loss, right?
So what it is like if just looking at like the leather armor, the
Yeah.
6 to 11, you're gonna put the 6 next to
The
and like
mi-
on your
the-
character
yeah.
sheet next to the minor, and then
Yeah.
after
Okay.
the major.
That's what I
So
thought.
like anything less than 6 is gonna be a minor, and then 6 to 12 is gonna be.
Yeah, and also review you add level to your thresholds.
Yes.
You add levels to thresholds. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So it's
it'll
plus
be
1 at the moment.
Yes. What weapon are you looking at, Rachel?
I'm thinking scepter.
Okay. I think that's good. Because that'll give us two magics and two physicals.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's good. So if something is resistant to one, we have 2 of each.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also just beating the shit out of somebody with that because it's two-handed. I like the sound of it.
Yeah, it's also far, so you're shooting something out of it. So figure out what you're shooting. But
And as Rick often says, flavor is free.
Mhm.
So, however you want to flavor that, within reason. But I know that you'll be within reason.
Yeah.
We can do so.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it is two-handed. But you'll still pick a secondary weapon, which can be shield. I love that the only presence one is a whip.
I mean, there's
Actually,
there's not like secondary weapons for all of them. Like there's nothing for instinct.
well, I want the whip anyways, so
Kinky.
it is a bard.
I'm so sorry, Jack. It's the whipper.
I failed you in this regard.
I need to drink some water.
You're
But
out
yeah.
of water.
You're never out of
Don't have
water.
it I just don't have it over here. But yeah, so like you can see on here is like Marcus stress to crack the whip kind of thing.
Mhm.
So like those are different things. Which stress is kind of exactly what it sounds like in the sense of like, but it can be not just like things that you do, but it's like when you roll your duality dice, it's either a success or a failure with hope, or a success or a failure with fear. And those
Mhm.
break down differently. So, like a success with hope, that's great. It's gonna go, the way that you wanted it to.
Mhm.
A failure with hope means that you were not able to achieve what you wanted, but it's not necessarily bad per se.
Yeah.
Like maybe like you were trying to because like distance in this works in like if I think it's just if you're trying to go, is it very close or is it close? Close. Like if you're trying to go close, you're fine. If you're wanting to go past close, you have to do an agility roll for that.
Mhm.
And so like say you failed that but with hope, it's like okay, maybe you didn't get too far because like you tripped over a branch but you caught yourself and you're fine, but like that's why you didn't go too far. A success with fear means you do the thing that you want to, but there's a minor consequence to it.
Mhm.
A failure with fear means you failed and there's some consequences because of this failure.
Very
We
much
call
like
it-
Monster of the Week.
Yeah, we call that the Serafina play.
Anybody
I don't
else
live
know
with
another?
Sherilyn. I don't
Anybody
live
else
with
know
her.
someone else who might want to play this game because we're suddenly needing a new player. And so like in things like that, like if you make a failure with fear in trying to do an attack roll, one of the like consequences might end up being you take a stress because like say one of your allies is surrounded
Mhm.
and you try to get over to them but you failed with fear, so like you trip and like land and you just look up and see them about to be pummeled. You're gonna take a stress for that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So yeah, stress works in different ways. It'll be a thing that like as we go we'll get more into. As far as armor goes, let me look at your sheet on suggestions. Recommending Gambison armor for you. So, for suggested weapons, it says a rapier and a small dagger. You don't have to do that, obviously, but that's what it says for your suggested. Yeah. So, yeah, suggested is the Gambison. So, and like Rick was saying, on those evasion thresholds, you You're gonna add +1 to both of them. Because you add your level. So like for the Gamma-Sin, it would be 6 and 12 would be the thresholds that you're gonna put in.
Okay.
And it does give you a +1 to evasion, which means instead of starting at 10, you would start at 11 to your evasion. If that's the one you wanted to take.
Okay. But that's the
I
one
would
that's
recommend.
recommended.
That's the one that's recommended. I would recommend that or leather. I wouldn't recommend the other two for you.
Yeah.
Just because you're not necessarily beefy.
No.
So
She's more live,
yeah,
however you say it.
life. That's how I say it. And that base score where it says 3, that's how many armor slots you have. So that's how many times you can utilize your armor to not take, or to take less hit points.
So I would put that in the armor section.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're putting
cool.
that
I'll
in
probably-
the like big part.
Yeah.
And like the big part where it says armor, you've got 3. So that means that you have 3 of the little shields that you can mark off
Mhm.
to reduce the damage that you are taking.
And then evasion, you're putting 11, I believe.
Yes, because she gets a +1 from her armor. Because it's flexible.
And then you can do your thresholds as well.
So your thresholds will be 6 and 12.
Perfect. All right, got it.
And then up on where you're we're starting at level 1.
Okay.
Because Daggerheart it goes up to 10. Goes up to 10. It's very much designed for the way that they put it in the book is like every milestone you level
Mhm.
up. It's not experience kind of thing. And typically you will level up around every 3rd session.
Yeah.
Might be, for that first one, might be 4 for us because our first session is going to be a lot of mechanical stuff.
Yep.
Rule-based stuff. But yeah, roughly every 3rd session, you guys will be leveling up. So, and when you level up, your thresholds will level up with you, kind of thing. They'll go up by 1. There's different things. We'll discuss that when we get to that. But for your traits, on the 2nd page, where Bard Character Guide, it has suggested traits. I would definitely have, and not just because you are the only one that would have a +2, but I would definitely have your presence as a +2 in being a bard, just because presence is your charisma.
Mhm.
You're playing a charismatic class, you want to have the presence there.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
your spellcasting roll is based off of presence.
Yeah,
That
so
too.
you definitely
So-
gonna make that a 2.
Yeah, so both of your domain cards do it.
And then the other ones, I mean, given being history based, I would say yes, a +1 on that knowledge. And then the other ones, I mean, you can do those as you see fit, but you'll have 1 more +1, you'll have a -1 and 2 zeros.
Okay.
I feel like the suggested traits work really well for a bard, especially with what you've been saying.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
you could swap finesse and instinct if you wanted. But the negative on strength, I think, is what you want to do, and you that +1 on any of the finesse, agility, or instinct is good. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the suggested traits. I'm gonna put it in because I think that's where I would line it up.
And then right next to like where it's got the suggested stuff, you have your inventory. So you take that first thing, the first spot, so a torch, 50 feet of rope, basic supplies, a handful of gold. We'll discuss the gold because I'm probably going to end up changing the way that they do gold in here. That's something that they even say in the book that you can do. Handful of gold is like the smallest, and then you have bags and chests.
Mhm.
So we will discuss that. And then you choose between a health potion or a stamina potion, minor health potion or minor stamina potion. Stamina is stress. So essentially you take a potion that either helps you with your HP or a potion that helps you clear stress.
Probably gonna go with minor health potion.
I think it's the right call. Especially because you don't have much other than like your whip. You don't have much that is like take a stress to activate this feature.
Yeah.
Like if you had a couple of things that did that, then I would say probably the stamina. But
Mhm.
And then you choose either a romance novel or a letter never opened.
A letter never opened.
We'll just
Oh,
you don't get both. Maybe you get both. It'd be fun.
Who, me or him?
He doesn't get those options. He gets different things as
Oh.
the other than like the things that you take, and then the health potion or the stamina. The last stuff is class specific.
Yeah.
We'll discuss who that letter's from and why it's never been opened.
I think we can both have a little hint of what it's about.
Don't give me that choice. You don't want that choice.
it's
It's
from
gonna be
Skylar.
fun.
It's confessing her true love.
I don't think that Bebo would have ever let Skylar and Beatrice meet because he would have gotten roasted.
Also, didn't Skylar's true love was the sea.
Yeah. And any cute woman she came across, TBH.
Man, she was an equal opportunist. Thank you.
She was, but she definitely was very good at hitting on the ladies.
It was just fun to make Brendan uncomfortable.
It was great.
And then you decide how you carry your spells. So a songbook, journal. I would even be open to because it says this, I think, for the wizard, like they say tarot cards on there. So anything magic-y in that sense.
Just an iPad, whatever you want.
Let's say it's like a book of hours from the Bard family.
Water.
Yeah, you are.
What?
I don't know. I talk sometimes.
No, that's big same.
I'm really tired too, so
That's fair.
I took a 5-minute nap before our session.
Well, you don't look tired. You look.
And he got like he does. So yeah, and then you went wordsmith, yeah?
Yep.
Looking at your features. But yeah, like on here, when we were talking about things that you can spend hope, one of the foundation features that you have is Heart of a Poet. After you make an action roll to impress, persuade, or offend someone, you can spend a hope to add a d4 to the roll. So things like that is hope is a resource for you to use.
Yeah.
Rally, the class feature.
Yeah, you get a fun little thing. Once per session, describe how you rally up the party and give yourself and each of your allies a rally dice. At level 1, your rally dice is a d6. A PC can spend their rally dice to roll it, adding the result to their action roll, reaction roll, damage roll, or clear a number of stress equal to the result. At the end of the session, all unspent rally dice are cleared. at level 5, your rally die increases to a d8. So that's kind of like bardic inspiration in a way.
Mhm.
So yeah, you'll get fun little things to play with there. I was just seeing if there's anything with like her numbers that she would. Oh, also when we were talking about the duality dice before, if you roll the same number on both dice, that is a crit.
Okay.
So that, yeah. So like you don't have to get 2 12s to have a crit. Like if you roll 2 5s, crit. 2 1s,
Love that.
crit. Yeah, that's the way that crit works in Daggerheart. You guys use d12s plus whatever, your damage dice is. You are both of yours are d6. That's nice. And then if you want to use, because your scepter is versatile, so you can do a melee attack with it, and it would be a d8. So if you want to whoop
Yep.
someone with your scepter. I will still be using a d20 for my rolls because I'm special.
Yes, you are.
And their reasoning for that is the duality dice for players gives a more bell curve on success rates.
Yep.
And the d20 makes it a little more it's a little more of a gamble for me on if I'm going to be successful, so it kind of balances it out.
Mhm.
So the next step on your character sheet, you'll get your armor written in there. And make sure that you do the like base thresholds and base scores in case you end up with things like for your armor, in case you end up, getting things that increase those thresholds or increase the base score. Especially like as we level up, if something were to happen, for your base thresholds wise on like why it would switch, because your base threshold will change as you level up, but if something happens one way or another. So you'll just fill all that in. We'll talk about your experiences because you'll have one more besides the actually. And then on the second page, the character guide page, we have background questions and connections. So the background questions are things specific to you, things that I'm going to kind of specific to you and me in the sense of like creating your character. The connections are how you are connected to the other player. So that is, you've got 3 questions there to ask the boys, and if you want to ask one of them to Rachel, we can shoot the message to her.
Yep.
They also have connection questions. Their connection questions, each class's connection questions are different from each other.
Okay.
So yeah, you've got these 3 here. I do have one from Rachel that she wanted me to ask you.
Okay, perfect.
Which is, and it made me cackle. Because she was like, these are the ones that are on the sheets, but let me think of something else. She would like to know, what song do you sing to her, to him, before a big fight? He's a big, giant dude. Bald, with a snake tattoo. Got a beard, but no hair. Otherwise, battles with some axes.
I'm looking through my Beatrice playlist. Hold on.
Yeah, I was telling her some of the songs you had on there last night. Solid playlist. I love the amount of T-Swift, but I also said to her that the amount of bi songs that are on there, if Beatrice is not bi, we're gonna have words. I mean, obviously play your character however you want, but
apparently there will be words.
You can't have Cool for Summer by Demi Lovato and Boyfriend by Dove Cameron and not be playing a bi character. I'm sorry, you can't. Those
Like
are the
her
rules.
brother, she's probably pansexual.
Okay, pan works too.
What
So
would
she
I
just wants to have
pick?
sex with one specific fawn? That's weird.
You know, that's better than pans, like cooking
Yeah.
pans.
Yeah.
What I
That's a
usually
much
get
better
when
joke.
I tell people
I
I
thought-
myself am
I thought
pansexual.
cooking pans first, and then I was like, there's another joke here somewhere.
I appreciate that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, hold
I mean,
on.
in all fairness, that pan gets around, so it'd probably be a
He
good
does. He
time.
is a bit of slut, yeah.
This is so good because this is such a good fucking question. What would I pick? Oh my gosh. You know what? Probably Ready for It by Taylor Swift.
Fair. Fair.
Also, you have questions that you can ask us if you want.
Yes, I gotta decide who I'm gonna ask it to who.
I forgot one of the questions that's on my little suggested question sheet, and it's still so funny to me. Why do you act differently when we're alone than when others are around? It's too much. It's a little too much.
Ah, goodness.
I
Hmm.
have one that I really want you to ask. Rick's
A third-
character.
Okay, what do you think? Because I think all of them are good, quite honestly.
They are all really good, but
They are really good ones.
I really want to know what Beatrice does that annoys you. What's your character's name?
Kalis.
Caliph? I want to know what Beatrice does that annoys Caliph.
Yeah.
Whenever like we're together and you're doing something that, like, you know, you're writing or you're like looking something in a book, you've got your quill and you're constantly
It's not really picking it up, but constantly tapping. He's saying constantly tapping.
like tapping your quill. Like, you know, like people that just like are tapping something on the desk constantly.
You know what? How dare you come after me, Bebo, and Beatrice's ADHD? That makes sense though, because boy howdy, that's me in a nutshell. Rufio, what made you
Mhm.
realize that your and my characters were gonna be such good friends?
So that one's actually really easy, you see, because while Katak knows where everything is, he's ridden everywhere. He has no idea what fucking any of it is or its history. So he honestly just loves like when you like info dump about places, he just sort of like rides beside you, like listening to it all, because it's like, you know, hearing things for the first time. He knows none of this. So he's actually just a big fan of you having all the information. It also, like, he's not good at interacting with people, so when you're just telling him stuff, he doesn't have to like respond that much, which makes
Love
it
that.
easier for him. Yeah.
That is my goal as a historian, IRL as well. And then I'll also send, oh, it's so spicy. Oh, she's spicy. Excuse me.
You don't, and you can come up with your own, like she did, like the
No,
what
this
song?
Yeah, that one was
this
really
one's
good.
great. This one, why do you grab my hand at night? Because depending on the answer, B is gonna be like, nah.
That's so funny.
Beatrice,
Beatrice B. Whatever.
I was addressing you.
Yes.
When I am out and about and traveling, what little trinket do you collect and ask me to bring you any that I find?
I think on the DL, she's a little bit of a crystal girly. She likes weird, cool looking rocks. So if you ever see any
I
cool.
know of of a place.
Mhm.
That's like it's a crystal cave.
Yeah, so you're perfect.
Yeah, we'll go there.
Yeah. Especially if they're like weird little shapes, like little mushrooms and everything. Like,
What about if they're shaped like dicks?
that's fine too. There's plenty of historical evidence of like societies that used, crystal dicks for masturbation and like fertility worship.
I was gonna say fertility, yeah.
Oh, my hip popped.
So confused.
Fertility worship. Ah.
Well, I had also I have a footrest under my desk, and I was playing with it, and it slammed onto the ground. And right after it slammed, because I had it tilted, is when he made that noise. So I was like, "There's no way that affected you. None. You're like 4 feet from me, maybe more."
Oh, 4 feet 11 inches.
Too busy thinking to realize that you threw an insult.
I don't think my mic picked it up.
Yeah. Sorry, typing.
Yeah, no, I said that he's like 4 feet from me, and then he was like 4 feet 11 inches.
Me. That's not very much. Since getting contacts, I can
Really not.
see how close things are to me now. Like I was walking down the stairs and I was like, are the stairs actually this close to my fucking face? Because I would usually see them underneath my glasses and I can't see for shit. So it would look far. But now I'm like, what is going on?
You know how when you're going downstairs and the next the level you just came from is the ceiling now, and as you're walking down the stairs, you need to be do you know how many times I have stepped forward too much and just domed myself on the fucking ceiling and damn near knocked myself out?
Yeah.
I've never
I saw
had
him
that
do it
issue.
at DragonCon last year.
Basements in lots of houses have that
Yeah.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I did it, and I was going to say goodbye to Baker after his wedding, and he was in the basement of the house they're in, and I was like, because I was kind of rushing, wham, fuck, and they come running are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm laid out on my ass,
Yeah, or you're the tall kid that they give a bottom locker to in middle school. And you stand up and fucking wang your head on a top locker.
I mean, I did that. I always had the bottom locker.
Oh no. Yeah.
So I did that a lot. After I think my senior year, a couple months in, I got switched to a top locker because I had dislocated my knee.
Oh.
Thanks to Color Guard, and yeah, they gave me a top locker, so I didn't have
Did you just
to
turn bad
squat
or?
down. No. So in doing Color Guard, I was part of the rifle line.
Uh-huh.
And I threw a quad. So a lot of fucking force behind it. And as it came down, I caught the nose of the rifle, but I did not catch the middle section or the butt.
Yeah.
And it swung like a pendulum and hit my knee. Hit it with such force that it popped back into my hand.
Oh, that's terrifying.
It was like a split
Specifically
second
one of my
thing.
fears.
Hit my knee, and we were doing an Elvis show. So, we're in jumpsuits, and I caught it, and then after catching it, we had to do the Elvis pose
Yeah.
to the side. So I turn, and as I'm turning after catching it,
Uh-huh.
I literally think to myself, and this is like midway through the show,
Oh no.
during halftime, I literally think to myself, that really hurt. And I continue on to pop up, do the show,
It
do my solo and everything, and I'm just going through it. And the moment we marched off and I crossed the sideline, I hit the deck.
Yeah.
The adrenaline stopped,
Yeah.
and I hit the deck, and we pulled my pant leg up, and I had a softball on each side. Thankfully, my kneecap went back on its own.
Yeah.
It wasn't until a week and a half later we knew that I had dislocated it.
Yeah.
Because I went to the ER and they took an x-ray and they're like, oh, it's just highly stressed and strained. We'll give you some crutches and a full-on leg brace. And that's why I ended up with the top blocker, because I could not bend that leg. And then roughly 2 weeks later, I was still in an immense amount of pain. And so we went to the hospital, not the ER this time, and got an MRI done, and they saw the torn scar tissue. We're like, you dislocated your knee. You need to be in physical therapy.
Yeah, it really sucks.
Yeah, so I have a bum knee that really fucking hates me.
Yeah.
So, and then, but that being said, it was, like I said, about 2 weeks later, a week after dislocating it, I was back on the field.
Nice.
Much against the wish of my band director. No, because I didn't have a physical therapist yet. But much against my band director and principal's wishes. I was like on the sidelines warming up and everything, and they were like, no. And Mr. Hansen, God, I love him, my band director. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
One, I would not have survived, because I was also captain, would not have survived being captain, because the reason for my chronic depression is my entire team tried to commit mutiny against me and get me to no longer be captain. And Mr. Hansen, bless him, without saying the words fuck them, said fuck them when I came to him with this. And he was like, you're the person I chose as captain. You're who's going to be captain. If they don't like it, they can walk out.
That's...
So, yeah, I would not have survived. But yeah, he was like, you don't have to do this. And I was like, but I do. Because I didn't say this to him, but my two co-captains, who were the ones that led the mutiny, attempted mutiny. Conveniently, because it was a fall break game, which means it was on Thursday night rather than Friday night. Conveniently forgot to ask for the night off from work so they could be there. So I was only the only member of leadership that showed up. And also our color guard instructor, who was really more of just our color guard choreographer at this point, because she lived several hours away. It was the only game of the season that she showed up for. And I looked at Mr. Hansen and I went, I'm going out there.
Yeah.
And Mr. Sutters, the principal, was like, are you sure? And I went, try and stop me. And I came off, and our Miss Clyburn, the color guard choreographer, was fully aware of what had happened. And I came off, and she was like, you good? And I went, get me an ice pack. Get me an ice pack right now. And I sat down for the rest of for third quarter and fourth quarter. But I did it. Makes sense. I looked damn good doing it.
Nice.
Yeah, and then when my physical therapist found out that I went back on performing it once I finally had one, they were like, you performed a week later? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. If I were on the football team, they would have been okay with me doing it a week later. They would have been like, you get your ass out there.
They would have been like, it's the same night. They would have been like, it's safe, get out there.
Yeah.
A little swelling. We'll put an ace bandage around it.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, like the principal, after it immediately happened, because, everyone saw me hit the deck.
Yeah.
He came over and he was like, there's an ambulance. And my mom was like, I can drive her there faster.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, you can't. And my mom was like, yes, I can. I'm taking my daughter. She's not going in an ambulance.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions, Rachel?
No. Or at least not now. Will I have questions later? For sure.
But I'm trying to think if there's anything else to impart. Let me see. Who from your community taught you to have such confidence in yourself?
My brother, by showing me exactly how to not act.
You've always looked up to another bard. Who are they, and why do you idolize them?
Probably. So the book that I'm doing is like a book of hours, book of history from like my forever ex great grandfather or whatever, who started collecting these stories, bringing them together. She has his
Him?
book. Yeah.
I'm gonna change this last one slightly.
Okay.
You were in love once. Who did you adore? And why are they no longer around?
I would say it was probably like her first teenage love type situation. And there's probably some type of like compatibility issue. Maybe she was taking her studies very seriously. Her boyfriend at the time wanted her to ease up on it, and she was like, "No, you're being controlling." He's like, "No, I want to spend time with you," and that's how it ended. There's probably a lot of like water that's emotional that's is or is not under the bridge. Who knows?
Does she still harbor love for him?
I think in any way that you might have of like your first love, like I loved you for who you were at the time and what you mean to me, my own personal history, but I don't. She probably doesn't know who he is anymore, so she can't like love him.
To like maybe still in love with the idea of him, but
Yeah,
not
and like what
him
he
as a
meant, but
person.
not him himself. Yeah.
Okay. And then just things of note that I told the others. I don't intend on necessarily making this deadly, whereas you need to have a backup character on standby.
But it's always good to have one.
But we are playing in a world where there are two factions at war. So there will be war times. I won't be. I know you and other Rachel, and feel like I know the boys well enough, but I definitely know you and other Rachel enough to obviously not necessarily going to be trigger warnings. I'm not going to hit your guys' triggers. I know what that is for you. But with there being war times, there will be casualties.
Yep.
There will be the potential of dead children.
Yep.
And families.
Yep.
And maybe some cruelties done by either side that
Yep.
are often done in war, with maybe some enslavement or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Not a guarantee. It kind of that also depends on, like, that might be something that's happening in the world, but you guys don't ever encounter. This is very much, your guys' games. I'm here to give you the sandbox to play in.
Yeah.
But I do want to preface that I do very much intend on, it's going to be fun and whimsical, and I kept talking about how I see it very much as Alice through the looking glass. So like when she goes back to Wonderland after she's grown up and things are a little decayed and decrepit and off kilter, more so than just like the normal whimsy, the fun whimsy. We're now getting the darker whimsy. But it's war. I want to play that, we're in a fun and whimsical world, but we're also in a world that is dealing with a dark time, where maybe family is turning on one another because of the Witherwild and the overabundance. And, maybe there's Havenites that don't agree with what the Havenites are doing to the Wicklings, kind of thing. So just preface that it's not going to be dark, but there may be some dark subject matter.
Like the Dark Crystal. It's
Yes. Yeah. Very much like one of its touchstones, like the Dark Crystal and, things of that nature. So have moments of fun and whimsy, but also have moments of, oh fuck, that hit me in the feels.
yeah. That's what I'm here for. For my feelings to get hurt in between the whimsy.
I can't wait to torture you guys.
Yeah, it'd be nice and fun.
Me
I feel like
too.
I kind of set myself up to torture you a little bit by creating this Beatrice character.
I was telling my mom that I was getting to GM a game for the four of you. And she was like, "Are you ready for the chaos that is the two Rachels together?" And I was like, "Mom, I'm not ready for that. But Rick and Rufio never get to play together as players.
I'm so excited.
I'm not ready for that chaos either.
I'm very excited.
I'm gonna
about
be
it.
hurting two different sets of cats."
But I guess I'm not. But Rick's so productive usually. I know my characters. They are a controlled chaos. They know what the goal is and want to accomplish the goal. They just don't take the most direct to it.
Listen, the one time I played a chaotic character, he got killed 2 sessions in. So, Merps.
Who? Oh, Merps. Yeah.
He was a little chaos monster.
Sorry, I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the reserved one of that one, which was really funny.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see the chaos that is, because as it stands right now, other Rachel's character is the more like reserved of the three.
Mhm.
But knowing her, I can't wait to
Uh-huh.
see the chaos that is the reserved one getting pulled into the chaos. Especially because she's also playing like the outsider. She's playing the
Right.
only Havenite.
Right. It's sort of on her to make us see Havenites as people.
Mm-hmm. I have other ways that I plan on doing that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can still humanize them by different actions that happen to them because, murder is supposed to have weight in this world. Not like D&D. Just kill whoever you want.
Yeah. I mean, there's different things that I plan on playing with of making it, because there's a few like things that they talk about. Like I'm tweaking it slightly, but like what they talk about for like the enticing incident is like there's unrest with the Havenites. They don't there's fractions of them that do not agree with Mage Phallic saying take this eye. I may be saying that wrong, but that's the way it looks like to me, is Phallax. It's Phylax. I don't know how else to say that.
I think it's Phallax.
Yeah, but there's unrest.
Phylax.
Phylax.
I heard it as phallus the first time you said it.
Phallax.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phylax. Phylax is probably what I will go with. So, and there's always unrest on either side. And, it'll be fun to play with.
Yep.
But we shooting for currently the 14th, June 14th, so 2 weeks from today, as our first time to play. Will probably take like 30 minutes for me to kind of quickly run through rules, jargon.
Yep.
And then get into that first session and get you guys together. Oh, something while the two of you were gone, which I think Rufio may have still had his headphones on because he responded to something. But Rachel, you and Rick may want to get together a little bit because it's likely that the two of your characters know each other the most out of these four. Because he is Wanderborn, so he travels a lot. He's always kind of on the move. And with you being historian, moving around, to like gather that knowledge kind of thing, there's a good chance that, and I'm not saying that you guys are like the best of friends, but you're probably a little past acquaintances in how
We've seen
often
each
you've
other.
seen each other.
I know that guy.
So, and I mean, you can make connections, you know, however you want to make those connections. Obviously, just let me know what they are, so I know how to use those tools in my sandbox. But yeah, I cannot begin to tell you guys how fucking excited I am to play this.
I'm so
Oh, yeah.
excited. Remy's
Oh,
very excited to guest star.
Obviously, be sure
Do
you
not.
get me your character sheets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do not sit.
And Rufio, we'll talk about your animal companion.
For sure.
I mean, I'm cool with anything really, but
Yeah.
we'll just talk about your connection and like how you met and shit like that. But yeah.
Well, everyone in my village is raised with an ibex.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just the default choice.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to a bear, but an ipex is cool too.
I mean, a bear is also fun. I could
Isn't
do a
that
bear.
kind of like goats, like, you know, enslaving other goats?
Yeah, I did
No,
kind of
'cause
have
it's an
that thought.
animal.
It would be like, you know, the pig man eating bacon, you know.
It would be like two things that live in the same environment benefiting from each other's existence.
It's like Goofy having his own dog.
Yeah, which he does. So.
And it's fucked up.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, for those of you that are wicklings, so the three of you, if like in the book it mentions, you know, for like those that have horns, your horns might be a little bit longer because of the Wither Wild. If you want to flavor something else that isn't too crazy, that might be one that like we have to discuss if you want to flavor something else into it. Can totally do that. They're just the only reason that I might say no or dim it down a little bit is because of you can get corrupted in this world by taking some severe damage, depending on how all it happens. So that might be the only reason I might veto something, because it's more of something that I would want to utilize later. But if you want to do something different than your horns, like your fangs are a little bit longer, or for you, Rachel, or I guess, I don't know, fawns probably have short little tails, but like if your tail is longer, or, you know, something of that nature.
They have long lizard tails.
That's what AI wants them to have, is long lizard tails.
Horns are fine for me.
Yeah. But just anything like that, anything you want to play with, I am here to. There's not much that I'm gonna say no. Flavor is free.
Yeah.
Crying is
I won't
also a
go.
free action.
As long as there's like a cold freezer, my character can go and cry into, like I have done many a times.
Same. Big same.
Or a cleaning supplies closet is what it really is.
Yeah, the amount of times that I have gone into a freezer so I didn't have a meltdown.
I'm gonna go chill myself out. But yeah, I'm excited. I won't go overboard. You know me. I like to think I at least don't go overboard with any special requests, but
So you all are gonna start with some kind of other loot than what's listed there. I just have to figure out what that is. But I'm gonna give you all something extra.
Cool.
Yep. All right. Anything else for tonight, y'all?
I believe so. Is there anything that I missed on mentioning? I don't feel like there is, because my throat fucking hurts from all this talking. Yeah.
Get used to it.
I know.
Especially session 1. You're gonna wreck your fucking voice.
Yeah, because there's a lot of setup. I want to know what the fuck this world is called.
You know all the blank maps in the book, they tile together any way you want. All the ones that aren't like the campaign frames, the other like 4, they tile together and their borders match.
That's cool. Also, speaking of map, Rachel, the Witherwild map.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, we've got like different things on like the question marks, the exclamation points.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to come up with 1 or 2 places of interest to you,
Okay.
or just things that like you've heard of. Like one of the examples that I gave is that there is a wailing willow forest
Mm-hmm.
that it sounds like people are crying and screaming out, but nobody is there. So it's just like a little piece of lore in this world. It's Daggerheart's very big on like the collaborativeness. That's why you've got like the character connection questions and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So like make something, and it doesn't have to. Even though you're from Fanewick, you can do something in Haven that like you've heard of. Like just something that's like this is something that I've heard of, or like
Yeah.
and it can be something silly as like you see this really big tree over here. I lost my wallet over there one time. Never found it. It just disappeared.
Story of my
Maybe
actual fucking life.
maybe things disappear over there. So just little things like that.
Yes.
That may be something that you interact, may not be something you interact with. And if you're having issues with like naming things, like you've got the idea but you have no names, these are suggested like name suggestions of things that you can use. Like I don't know who it was, but someone used one of them for this thing over here with the rocks, the cavernous divide, I think.
Carnivorous.
Yeah, carnivorous divide.
Mm-hmm.
So, just 1 or 2 places to as points of interest, things that add to the lore of the land or the lore of your character. Could be this rock over, this rock formation over here is where I had my first kiss.
Cute. Yeah. I'll take a look into it. I'll probably ask you some questions.
Yeah.
See if there's
I
any
am
like
here.
clarifying thing. Yeah. For sure. But I'm really excited about actually being my experience.
Yeah, and we'll come up with your other experience and talk about that.
As a historian.
And then on the map, if you can also let me know, where do you call home? Maybe that's not necessarily where you live currently, because like for Rick's character, he's a roamer. He roams around, but what's considered your homestead, so to speak?
Yeah. Wherever the biggest library is.
That's probably going to be in Haven.
Well, the biggest library. Fine.
Yeah.
Instantiate it then if it is not there.
Yeah,
That's what you do in this game is you want you
want a library, put one on the map.
You have the power to shape the world, right? It's not just
cute.
the purview of the DM. It's not the DM story, it's our story.
Yeah, and like
it's her story.
It's her story.
Like up here, the little thing over here, it kind of looks like a Death Star. The thing is hiding it a little bit, but it kind of looks like a Death Star right there.
Uh-huh.
A little orb. There's more of those little orbs. That orb up there has been labeled as a theater. This orb down here, that could be a library. Like these orbs could be like places. Yeah, there's another one over there. They can be like places of knowledge / recording documentation, like that. Theaters tell stories, so maybe another one of these orbs is a library.
And keep in mind that deities walk the earth. You can tie that into one of the locations as well. Like this is where the like fucking faint deity of lost socks prowls eating all the socks that have got lost in the bog, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, in the book for this campaign frame, it does list. I didn't go over it tonight, but it does list some of the deities and like how they view. Some of it is like how they view what's happening in Fanewick. Some of it is also like what their domain is. It is not an exhaustive list.
Yeah, there's like
the-
thousands.
Yeah, like Rick's fire deity that I mentioned is not listed. He came up with
Yeah.
that. So, if there's not a deity there that you connect with, like 2 of the ones that are on there, Rufio kind of connected with for his character. But if there's not one that you connect with, if there's not like a knowledge-based one, then fucking make it up. You get to make up this world as much as I do.
That's so cute. I love that.
And like, even if like you don't think we'll ever like run into them, say like offering up like a trinket to them, or something like that, like little like notes like that, is kind of what this world is about, right? And like saying a quick like blessing of your knowledge deity when like you're about to like dive into something unknown, Be like, this one's for you, big man.
Yeah, I think I like
Speaking
oof.
of big man, the big man is tacking the blanket.
You can see them.
He's doing
little
his
man,
job. He's taking care of the house. In
no,
what
little
way?
man is on the other side.
Well, that's how he's taking care of the house. He's putting his brother in his place as much as he can, because he's too rotund.
But yeah, and also if you need to access, like if you want to be able to like log in and look at this stuff, and you're not able to get in, just message me or Rick or both of us, because if I'm not home, he's gonna be home more than likely, so he can easily open it up for you to be able to look at things. And again, yes, I am the GM, but Rick will probably still know these rules better than me. So if I'm ever unavailable while you're doing stuff in this character creation and you like, I need this answer now,
Yeah,
shoot him a message.
sounds good. Love
But that's all I got for tonight, folks.
Thank you. Appreciate. Loved seeing you guys again. It's been like 3 days.